I'm minorly confused.
At least enjoy it for one more day. Chinese won't do it.
A few more hours. I'm confused. Then you want me to talk for a few minutes and then we're going to do it tonight?
It's up to you to like how you want to organize the activity, and you talk about current trends in speech pathology, and you have around 40 minutes.
Did you plan that well, that you like brought professors in right when I was about to talk about that?
No, that is all planned by God. So.
I'm really big on acceptance. So to sit here and talk to you about speech pathology and what is next, or what we do in America, and what speech pathology looks like in America is really important to me as well. So there is a combination. But I'm going to do something totally different because we've been sitting here for over an hour. And we did this workshop at the National Stuttering Association called Speed Meeting. So it's a little bit like speed dating. I'm sure you've all heard of it. You probably don't have it in India. Have you heard of speed dating?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. But the idea is to meet somebody, and you all have met, I realize, but to meet somebody and just have a conversation for 3 minutes with them, and then switch and have a conversation with somebody else. And so it's really getting to know somebody in a short amount of time and communicating. So stuttering, not stuttering, that doesn't matter. We're communicating and getting to know each other. Now the problem is... Okay, one last time. Let's switch one more Okay, we're done. Stop talking. All right, let's go back and sit down. We'll chat about that. I'm only going to take 3 comments because we're going to run out of time. But does anybody have anything they want to share about that experience or what they thought?
Well, we have been meeting for 4 days, and I thought that I knew all of them. Like when you said that we are doing this activity, I was thinking that it would have been more useful if we had done it on the first day. But when I talked with them, I actually came to know that what I knew about them was in a superficial way, and now I could really talk to them and actually be close friends with them. So,
Wow. Good. Thank you for sharing that. Although it is a nice activity to do at the beginning, he is right. A nice way to just, for people to meet next time.
Next year.
Next year. Does anyone else have anything? Okay. I'm going to talk just quickly, and I have notes on my iPhone, so we'll see if I can. I didn't want to carry lots of paper, and so I'll be seeing if I can do this. And I was asked to slow down a little bit because of my American accent, that sometimes it's hard to understand. But as we all know, as people who stutter, it's not so easy to slow down. So I may consciously think about it and slow down, but when I get caught up in what I'm saying, I'm not going to remember. So I'm sorry if you can't understand my American accent. So I was asked to talk a little bit about current research and treatment for people who stutter in America. And I gave this talk, I have this all on paper because I gave this talk to the Chinese people who stutter. So, and no, I didn't say it in Chinese. So. But I had an interpreter, so if anyone wants to interpret in Hindi, Anyway. And I haven't really looked through this, sorry, since then. So in looking at causes, we all know there's no single cause for stuttering. It's a combination of neurological and genetic and environmental. that all kind of work together to create this wonderful person who stutters. So the research has shown there is a genetic component, which really means it's not, they're trying to find a gene. They've done some more research on genes and some families in where have they done that?
Pakistan.
Yes, yeah, which is not far from here, huh? And so they are finding in some situations that there is some actual gene, but generally speaking, it certainly does run in families. So that's why they say it's a genetic. There is a genetic component because it does often run in families. Maybe I'll put that way up. It's bigger. So this is even better. So a neurological predisposition where the wiring in your brain is just different. It has nothing to do, as we know, but it has nothing to do with how smart you are or how well you put things together cognitively. It's more about the synapses and a neurological difference. And the research is showing that there is actual differences in the neural structure and function of the brain. So they are doing some research, and I don't know all the details of all of this research, so I'm probably going to just stay general. If somebody knows more, that'd be great. But they have done some research on the neural structure and function of the brain, and people who stutter, when they stutter, a different part of their brain is active. They've done the fMRI, is that what it is? Yes, thank you. But, and the part of the brain that's lighting up is different for a person who stutters when they are stuttering. It's not really an answer in any way, but it is just kind of showing that there is a neurological difference. The research is also showing it's okay to talk about it. You know, in my personal talk, I talked about that the philosophy back when I was growing up was to not talk about it with children. But research is actually showing that it's okay to use the word stutter. Using the word stutter with a child is not going to make them stutter. So the LIDCOME program out of Australia has, the research out of the LIDCOME program is kind of proving that, because they actually talk about lumpy speech, they talk about stutter directly to the child. It's more of a direct therapy. And they're claiming 99% recovery. I have my own thoughts on that one, but besides that, and I'd be happy to talk about that, but besides that, I mean, they are doing research and they are showing that these children are recovering even though they're talking about stuttering directly. So the Wendell Johnson theory is of not talking about it, not diagnosing it, is really kind of outdated. And the new research is showing it's okay to talk about it. So for treatment, the other thing I said, I think we all know this, but that it's highly misunderstood. Stuttering is highly misunderstood everywhere. So, I mean, I think I gave you a taste of that just talking about what it was like for me in America, but I mean, it's just misunderstood. In every culture, in every language, there are examples of people who stutter. So there was a case once that people thought there was no word for stutter in some language. I think it was like an African language or something, wasn't it? I don't know. But it turns out that there actually was stuttering in that community. They just didn't have a word for it. So, I mean, as far as we know, there is stuttering in every language and everywhere. So for young children who stutter, the current treatment in America, because that's all I really know, is early intervention can make the difference. So getting children help when they're younger is a good thing. And I was talking about this to someone here, and the lid cone, so there's two kind of general approaches for preschoolers who stutter. Now, so before I even talk about those, children who are developing language in general from the age of 2.5 to 6 often stutter, often have disfluencies. You know, they'll say, I want to go, or, you know, mama, mommy, up. Not quite like that, that's real stutter, but. So children learning language and pulling language together and wanting to keep their conversational turn will have some disfluencies. And the research kind of shows on that 80% of children, preschool children who stutter, will outgrow it on their own. So many children have disfluencies. 80% of them will outgrow it on their own. But with research, that number goes up to about 91%. Now, Lidcombe is claiming 99%, but again, they are doing, I like Lidcombe, I've been trained, I'm not saying anything bad about it, but they are doing their own research. And I truly believe that those kids who are going to stutter no matter what, there are just a few that no matter what you do, they are neurologically predispositioned to stutter. They drop out of the program because it's very direct. And if a child's very sensitive and very perfectionist, which many people who stutter are, and your parents saying, say that again, oh that was bumpy, say that again, oh that was bumpy, say that again. Well, children who are really sensitive are just like, stop. So they have a really hard time with the program and they drop out. So when they talk about 99.9% recovery, the children who don't recover drop out. So I think the numbers are a little skewed. But there is some great positive things about Lidcombe. So I think the numbers of research, and for those of us who know research, there's a lot of different ways to do research, and when you're researching your own program that you've developed is a little biased in itself. So, so about 90% of preschoolers stop stuttering with intervention, and so that's why I say early intervention matters. Because if you're in that 80 to 90% and you didn't get intervention, you'll probably always stutter. But if you had gotten intervention, you might not. So, and there's no way to know who that is or how that works, or it's still kind of vague in that, right? There's no way to know who that 10% is. But in my opinion, get help. Why not? Get educated and help your child the best that you can when they're 3 and 4 and 5, and hope that they grow out of it. Because as we know, being a person who stutters is tough. And some of us talk about, I wouldn't take the magic pill, and I am who I am. But I don't think any of us would wish that on our own child or on another child. So one approach is that more direct approach for preschoolers. And the other approach is more of a demands capacity, so looking at the child's capacity in language, in emotion, in the environment, if they're perfectionists, if they need structure, if they don't like structure, and whatever their capacity is, and how much of a demand the environment is putting on them. And so I work a lot with parents on that one, and changing the environment, because I talked about the 3 things are neurological, genetic, and environment, and we can't change the neurology directly, and we can't change the genetics, obviously, and so, but we can change the environment. So I work a lot with parents on, and I think I've sort of talked about this a little bit, but the whole demands capacities is not putting all those demands on the child. So really kind of pulling back and not doing performance speech. I talk a lot to parents about performance speech. Every parent, I imagine, in the world, including me, are like, you know, and what did you tell Daddy what we did today? And where did we go? Tell Daddy. Tell Daddy what we had for lunch today. Or tell Grandma, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then everyone's staring at this child, and the child has to answer. And for a child who stutters, that performance speech is very difficult, and it puts a lot of pressure on the child. And so, I mean, I look at each child, if that's the thing that's causing disfluency, then the family works on kind of pulling away that performance speech. If sometimes the parents' rate of speech, how fast they talk, is really fast. I've talked to parents, now I'm going to talk fast, sorry. But I've talked to parents who talk like this and they're just go, 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 and let's do this and let's do that. It's like, whoa, I mean, how can a 3-year-old who's just learning language be able to keep up with that rate? And we, as communicators, try to match our communicative partner. So I don't know if you've ever noticed that when you're talking with someone who's very calm and relaxed, that you kind of get calm and relaxed. But when you're talking to someone who's really tight, then you start feeling a little tight. So I show parents this, because what parents can do can make a difference. And I teach parents how to slow their own, how to slow their rate down, which is not easy, what I'm going to say. I hope I am slowing down a little bit, but so I kind of look at what is causing disfluency. I mean, in the evaluation, I'll look at when is this child most disfluent, and how can this family help this child at home? Because it's not the 45 or 50 minute session I'm seeing this child once a week. It's what happens all the other time at home. And so, and I educate the family on what stuttering is. And what time is it? Okay. I think it's really important for parents to know what stuttering is, and it doesn't have to be something to be afraid of. And that it's okay if your child stutters. It's very typical at age 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, that it's not something to stress out about. And the fact is, when parents are stressed, children feel that. And so, I mean, if the parents looking all pained and, oh God, you're stuck in the, oh. as every parent would, because you feel for your child, but your child sees that face. And so I work a lot with parents on acceptance. I mean, they're, accepting their child for the communicator they are right now. Because the child needs to feel that acceptance, that it's okay to get stuck or whatever it is they're doing, and they don't even know what they're doing. All they see is the pained look on their parent's face. And I was telling somebody, I think you have to repeat that, as a person who stutters, I have a great evaluation tool that I just love. When I am evaluating a child who stutters, a younger child usually, I'll talk to the parent about stuttering, and they always say, oh, I'm okay with that. They always say that no matter what. And I think they believe that. I don't think they're making it up, but I don't think they're okay with it either. But I can tell how someone feels about stuttering the minute I stutter. So I'll stutter, and I can see in that parent's face how they feel about stuttering. And it's not bad or good, I'm not judging, but when I see a parent who's like wincing at me, that I know I have a little more work to do, that this is a parent who's uncomfortable about stuttering, and that I need to help them to help their child. And having that look is not going to help their child. So I kind of use that, and I've heard negative and positives from people that I use that, but it seems to work for me. It gives me, it's not the end all, and I'm not judgmental, and it may just be the moment. It doesn't matter. I mean, I can still, as you look at someone, the more comfortable you get with your stuttering, and you stutter in front of somebody, you can tell how they feel about your stuttering. I mean, if you're not comfortable with your own, then it's hard because you're kind of, and what's that word when you're? No, when you're putting your feelings out there. Projection. Yeah, projecting, yes. So you're projecting your own feelings, thank you. But, so and JP wants me to write a paper on that, so that's how we ended up talking about that. But I do use that as a evaluation tool. So that's kind of the basic two approaches for preschoolers who stutter. Most pediatricians in the States are still saying just wait and see if they outgrow it. My opinion is don't wait. And the field of speech pathology in the States is saying don't wait. Or the field, the fluency specialists in the States are saying don't wait. That just educating the parent, if nothing else, just educating the parent can make such a difference in this child's life. And waiting and having the parent wincing or whatever it is not really helping the child. So, and 80% of them are going to outgrow it, even if the parent winces. But, let's get help to those children that, can actually have the help. Oh, the other thing about preschoolers too, the research is showing that severity is not a sign of if they're going to outgrow it or not. So they used to think, well, if they're have harder plots and they stutter on every word and they're squinting their eyes and trying to get the word out, and it's so severe at the age of 4. And I've seen little 4-year-olds so severe. So we had thought that maybe that was a sign